Hello, I'm John Stainsby. In this lesson, we're going to cover notebook sessions. Let's start out with a definition of data science notebook sessions. They are the Jupyter Lab interface for building and training your models. Notebook sessions are fully managed by the service, which means that all underlying infrastructure is managed by the service also. In short, you don't need to worry about interacting with the compute or storage APIs for provisioning or lifecycle management. In addition, all software updates and patching is handled by the service. They offer support for both CPU and GPU shapes, and they provide persistent session storage for data, notebooks, and environments. We will demo this at the end of the lesson. However, let's run through the general process of creating a notebook session from the console. Once you have a project created, to create a notebook session from the console, navigate to your project details page and click Create Notebook Session. Select your desired compartment from the drop-down list. Optionally, give your notebook session a name. Select your compute shape. You can choose from a variety of shape families that provide different hardware, including AMD CPUs, Intel CPUs, and NVIDIA GPUs. Input a value for the size in gigabytes of block storage that will be attached to this notebook session. The minimum value is 50 gigabytes and the maximum value is 10,240 gigabytes. Select your networking type, depending on what you need to access from this notebook session. If you select Custom Networking, select your desired VCN and subnet. Then, click Create. Remember that notebook sessions do take a few minutes to start up. When your notebook session is active, you will see the Open button enabled. Let's talk about managing notebook sessions. In particular, let's discuss viewing, editing, and deleting them. You can view all notebook sessions in a project on the Notebook Sessions list page. Click a notebook session to view its details. Notebook sessions have the following metadata: a display name, an OCID, the date and time it was created and the user it was created by, its compute shape and the amount of storage in gigabytes, VCN and subnet, and its tags. When a notebook session is active, the only field that's editable is display name. You can view and edit notebook sessions through any of the OCI interfaces. Note that any files or changes on the notebook sessions file system that have not been backed up or committed will be lost when you delete the notebook session, as the compute instance will be terminated and the block volume will be destroyed. To delete a notebook session from the console UI, locate the notebook session on the project details page from either the notebook session list or details page, then click Delete. In order to delete a notebook session from the console, you must fill in the display name of the notebook session to confirm deletion. To activate a notebook session in the console, click Activate on the details page or from the notebook session list page. When you click Activate, you'll be prompted to select the compute, storage, and network configuration. At this stage, you can either keep the same settings or update the configuration. You can use this capability to scale your notebook sessions up and down over its lifecycle, depending on how your compute power requirements evolve as you do your model building. When you confirm to activate, your notebook session will change to an updating status. When the infrastructure provisioning completes, it will switch to an active status and you'll be able to open the notebook session. This can take a few minutes. To deactivate a notebook session in the console, click Deactivate on the details page or from the notebook sessions list page. The notebook session will change to an updating status while the infrastructure deprovisioning completes. When complete, the notebook session will be in an inactive state. You can deactivate a notebook session to save on compute costs. When you deactivate a notebook session, the compute instance is shut down, while the block volume attached to it is retained. So you can save your code, data, and files to the block volume to save your progress. To be clear, any data on the boot volume of the notebook session is deleted after you deactivate it. When you reactivate the notebook session, a new compute instance is started up and the existing block volume is attached to it, enabling you to pick up from where you left off. You can also view metrics for a notebook session over the course of its lifecycle on its details page. Metrics include CPU and memory utilization, expressed as a % of total, and network traffic in and out, expressed as a number of bytes. To create a notebook session from the console, once you have a project created, navigate to the project details page. This is the project I created in the previous lesson, and click Create Notebook Session. Give your notebook a name and select a compute shape. In this example, I'm going to take a standard 2.2 and configure your block storage size. I'm just going to go for the minimum of 50. I'm going to choose my default networking, but if you were choosing custom networking, you would click here and select your VCN from this list. And I am going to add a tag. And I'm selecting to view the detail page when I click Create. Now I click Create, and it will take a few moments for the project to be created. However, when the notebook session is active, you'll see an Open button up here enabled. You can see that the notebook session has the following information: its OCID, who it was created by and when it was created, the compute instance shape and block storage size, the VCN and the subnet, and how many OCPUs and the amount of memory on the instance shape. This notebook's now active, which means the only field that is editable is its display name. To deactivate a notebook session in the console here, we're going to click on the Deactivate button from the details page. The notebook session will change to an updating status while the infrastructure is deprovisioning, and when it's complete, the notebook session will be in an inactive state. When you reactivate the notebook session, a new compute instance is started up and the existing block volume is attached to it, enabling you to pick up from where you left off. To activate a previously deactivated notebook session, from the notebook session details page, click Activate. We'll be prompted to select our compute shape. Once again, we can leave it the same as before, or we can select a new one. As I mentioned, you can use this capability to scale your notebook session up and down over the course of its life cycle. Once we click Activate, the session will change to an updating status and the infrastructure provisioning begins. When it completes, it'll switch to an active status and you'll be able to open the notebook session. It can take a few minutes. To delete a notebook session from the console UI, from its detail page, click on More Actions and then Delete. I'll need to enter the name of the notebook session in order to delete it, and note that any files or changes on the notebook session's file system that haven't been backed up or committed are lost. This is because the compute instance is destroyed as well as the block storage. Click Delete to confirm, and the notebook will move to a deleting status. Once it's deleted, it will move to a deleted status. To wrap up, we defined notebook sessions and we talked through the steps to create a notebook session from the console. We discussed how to manage notebook sessions, such as how to view, edit, and delete them. We explored the notebook session metrics and how to activate and delete notebook sessions. Thank you.